with a license to take it on any plane, consume it in any location in America today that allows for smoking. Really? And nobody knows that. Wow. Because we listen to the politicians who claim that there's no value,
right?
Which is just a bold-faced lie. But anyway, so go ahead. Finish.
So here I was, 15 years not a drink, but a couple of years ago, I was about 3 years ago, I was challenged because I think drinking, it may have brought me down a little bit by the end of, it's kind of a depressant.
It's depressing, no question.
Right? So I was sleeping well, but now all of a sudden I'm working 80 hours a week, but I'm not getting to sleep. So I'm taking Ambiens every night. And then somebody said, I'm at a conference, 420 conference in Denver, you got to try cannabis. And that was a turning point for me because all of a sudden my wife was telling me I was getting up in the middle of the night running around the house. We all know the Ambien stories, right? So forget Ambien, it's done. And now a little indica, end of the day, it's a perfect thing for me. So I invested in Cannapreneur, met Michael Scott. He has an amazing track record. He had an exit in this industry, by the way, of over $100 million already as an entrepreneur in cannabis, which is something beyond his wealth building and wealth management business that he's been involved with for many years. He was one of the pioneers in cannabis, certainly in the state of Massachusetts also.
Well, Michael, tell us a little bit about it. Let's start where you came from. I mean, where did this all begin? And then being a successful entrepreneur anyway, why did you want to take on such a strange industry as cannabis?
Yeah, great question. So let's see, where do I begin? In terms of where I come from, I tell people candidly, I consider myself a PhD, but not the traditional PhD, poor, hungry, and driven, right? And so my philosophy in business, not dissimilar to Kevin, is how do you provide value in a marketplace? How do you find that value? How do you capture it? How do you monetize it? So just like Kevin's story, where he talks about, talk about a true entrepreneur, dead space on a TV, and he finds a way to turn that into $1 billion company, yes. Right? So I just, like Kevin, I saw an opportunity, right? I was reading about Massachusetts was going to be the first legal state in the entire East Coast. I was like, damn, I live in this state. And then, at the time, I consumed cannabis. And the funny story is, prior to 30, I'd never tried it in my life. I was actually a walking anti-drug, anti-cannabis billboard in college. So, but I started studying the industry in 2016, Montel, and what I realized was this East Coast is going to open up, and this is going to be a green gold rush. Mm-hmm. So the entrepreneurial side of me started studying the industry in 2016 and started studying billionaires. And my goal was to basically mix those learnings and maximize on the fastest growing industry, what I believed was going to be, and leverage an industry where the wind was going to be in my sails.